Hello. Welcome back to Life After Plus One. I'm Leanne, your podcast host and your single parent mentor and coach. And today I want to talk about blending families. Because at some point, when you're a single parent, that is what is going to happen. Your end game is to eventually meet someone, isn't it? You want to meet someone and you want to settle down again and you want to eventually have your happily ever after. And when you're a single parent and when that happens, it means blending families, and it can get a little tricky. So today I'm going to unpack a few things of what to think about and what to take into consideration when you're looking at blending your families and moving in with a new partner. And just before I do jump in, I just want to give a big shout out and a big hello to everyone that listens, no matter where you are in the world. I know I've got a big following in the US, in the UK. I'm over here in a little coastal town called Central Coast in New South Wales in Australia, just north of Sydney. So thank you for everyone that jumps on week after week and has a listen. And I hope you find some great support. And as I always say, I'm here to unpack anything that is related to single parenting. So I eventually get through every topic and any topic that will have an impact on you. And if there's something that you haven't heard that you're dying to have me speak about, shoot it through. Let me know. Send me a message on Instagram or Facebook or anywhere you follow me on social media. Send me a DM and I promise I will respond and I will discuss it on the show. I will unpack it and I will break it down and have your preferred topic unpacked on the show. So on that note, I'm going to dive in and let's talk blending families. Welcome to the Life After Plus One podcast, where we turn life's lemons into delightful lemonade. Get ready for inspiring stories, uplifting conversations, and all the tips and tricks to rock your single parent journey with style. I'm your host, Leanne, and it's time to embrace the adventure of Life After Plus One. So let's dive in. So when you get to that stage of wanting to blend families, it's pretty exciting, isn't it? You're back in the dating world, you've met someone, you think, great, this is the one. Let's meet each other's kids, and then there's talk of holidays together and doing fun things, and it just slowly blends together. And then eventually you have the talk of moving in together. And this is the thing. Sometimes there isn't really that talk. You just get to a place where you think, okay, well, it must be time where we live together. So when you are wanting to blend families, this is one thing that I really want to address here. Because one of the biggest mistakes I see when it comes to blending families is addressing what I just mentioned then, not having the talk. And it is so important to both be on that same page when you're ready to take that big step. Because when you are looking at moving in, it's not just, oh, okay, let's just move house, no big deal. Moving in together is a huge deal. Because if you go back and think to your breakup, your divorce, your breakup with your kid's other parent, how big of a deal was that? I guarantee it was massive. And most of you, not all of you, but most of you probably would have gone through settlement and having to go through your finances and everything like that. That is a huge deal. So when you're wanting to move in with a new partner, don't do it with your blinkers on. And when I say that, I mean really have an open mind about what you're doing. Because when you went into your relationship with your kid's other parent and when that fell apart, no one goes into that relationship thinking it's going to end. No one goes into a relationship thinking you're going to end up divorced or as a single parent. Nobody plans for that. And likewise, when you move in with a new partner, you're not going to go into this relationship thinking you're just going to end up on your own again. You're going to end up going through all this same process all over again. And some people might get remarried and go through another divorce again. Nobody plans that. Understandable, because you all want that happily ever after. Everyone does. But it is so important when you've already gone through it once to protect yourself a little bit more and protect your kids as well, because you have more that you need to protect. And when I say that, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying avoid it completely. I'm saying take your blinkers off and really think about what you're doing, because it's very common in that situation to just feel, well, just think that You're in that loved up stage. You're all excited. You're happy to be around them. It's all fun and exciting, and you got those cute smiles and everything else is happening. And you think, yeah, I'm ready to move in. This is great. I love this. And then the next minute that honeymoon stage dies down, you're like, well, shit, this isn't what I signed up for. I'm not happy with this. They're not helping around the house, or they're not helping with finances. They're not helping with the kids. And then you're back to square one again and thinking, well, I'm miserable now in this relationship. This is not what I signed up for, but I don't want to leave. I don't want to go through another divorce, or I don't want to have to go through another settlement. I don't want to have to break up again and drag my kids through this. This is why it's so important when you are looking at blending families to really think about these factors. It's not just a matter of this is exciting, let's move in. It's a matter of thinking big picture. Now, I'm not one that encourages people to think of the negative and think of the glass half empty. But in certain situations, you need to be prepared for worst case scenario. And I know it's hard to think like that, and I know it's not coming from a real positive angle here. But realistically, if you've gone through this before, do you want to go through it again? So when I'm saying prepare yourself for worst case scenario, I'm saying just be prepared, or just know what you're getting into. So if something happened, worst case scenario, and you guys did break up, would you be okay? So that's what I'm saying, to think about it from the worst side of things. Are you prepared? Would you be okay? Are you just moving into their house, and then all of a sudden, if you broke up, are you going to be stuck and have nowhere to live? Are you going to be stuck with no money? Are you going to be stuck with no furniture? So when you are planning on moving in with someone, be really smart about your decision, and just think, okay, if this didn't go the way we wanted it to, if after a year or two living together and it just went to the shit and we just realized this wasn't working and you wanted to end it, you wanted just to leave and do your own thing, would you be in a situation or in a position where you could comfortably do that? And that is important. That is important, because you do not want to drag your kids through another toxic breakup or all this drama again with another partner, because you haven't properly prepared yourself. And it's a hard thing to do, and it's a hard thing to think about, because you don't want to go into a relationship planning your breakup. And that's not what I'm suggesting, because no one wants to go into a relationship planning for when you break up. And that's not what I'm saying, but I'm just saying, worst case scenario, if something did happen, are you going to be okay financially? Are you going to have somewhere to live? Are you going to be able to get by? Or are you going to be stuck in a relationship, stuck living with someone where you're not happy because you've been through a divorce before and now you've got no way out? This is your only option now. So when you're blending families, really think about, are you ready? Are you truly ready, or are you just in that dating stage? It's exciting, it's fun, so you're just thinking, yeah, let's just do it. Because when you live together, there's so much more to it. You're seeing a different side of this person. When you're seeing them every now and then when you're going on dates, it's fun, it's exciting. But when you're living with someone, it is very different, isn't it? And that's when you see the other side of them. So before you start to consider blending families, some things you really need to think about is, one, what I just said. Are you going to be okay if it didn't work? 2, have you had the discussion with each other about the future of your relationship? So maybe you're not married and you're dating, but you're speaking about, or you're discussing moving in together. And then you've moved in together, then all of a sudden one of you wants to get married, the other one doesn't, the other one's just happy doing just the dating thing. And then all of a sudden the relationship dwindles apart because you're both on different pages. One person wants marriage, the other person doesn't. This is why it's very important to discuss these things from the get-go. You need to make sure you both have the same expectations of your future relationship, or where you're both wanting the relationship to go. You need to both be on the same page. And it's very common for people not to have these conversations. They just think, oh, well, we're happy now, so it must be right. Oh, it's all going well, so this must be it. You can never presume things when you're going into these situations or when you're actually moving in with someone. Because, again, Look what happened with your previous relationship when you became a single parent. There's a good chance you just presumed that was going to work. There's a good chance that a lot of things weren't spoken about. And now I'm not saying that's the only reason why the relationship ended, because there's always so much more to it. But having that open level of communication with your partner is a huge factor when it comes to making a relationship work, and a huge factor when you're looking at living with someone. So, big tip. Make sure you're both on the same page. Sit down and have that discussion. Where do you see our future? Well, where do you see our relationship going? Are you wanting to get married, or are you just happy just live together and see where it goes? And if you know what you want, if you're someone that you want to get married again, that's your goal. You want to meet someone, you want to settle down, you want to get married. And you may be at an age where you want to have kids again. And they're not. They don't want to have any more kids. They're done. Have these discussions, because you don't want to move in with someone and then you realize, I want another kid, but they don't. I want to get married, but they don't. These are things you need to unpack before you even move in together. So you can't just stick in this loved up stage thinking, this is great, we're so happy, this is perfect, we should just live together. And that's nice and that's great, but you've got to discuss all the nitty-gritty details that come with living together. You can't just sweep everything under the carpet. Then all of a sudden you live together and all these red flags start popping up and you're like, holy shit, what just happened? I can tell you what happened. You didn't talk about anything. You didn't plan anything. You didn't know what you were getting yourself into. You just hoped for the best because everything seemed right at the time. And then it just kind of blew up in your face. You're like, fuck. This isn't what I signed up for. So when you're blending families, most importantly, have that discussion to make sure you're both on the same page. You're both wanting the same future with your relationship when it comes to kids, when it comes to anything else that you're wanting in the relationship. Make sure you guys can talk about anything and everything that you're needing and wanting from each other. You do not want to move in with someone and start living with someone where you're not comfortable to talk to them. You're not comfortable to have those deep and meaningful conversations with them. That is so important, because you do not want to move in with someone where you're walking on eggshells constantly, trying to please them, trying to make them happy. You're like, well, shit, I can't talk about this because I might upset them. I can't bring that up because I might get angry. You don't want to live with someone like that, especially when you have kids. So really make sure you know the person that you're living with. Know their good sides and their bad sides. Now, I'm not saying that only live with them if they're a perfect person and they never argue and they never get angry. Everyone argues, everyone gets angry. That's all part of life. But it's how you handle it when those moments come. That's what's important. Everyone's going to get angry. But are they going to get angry and then just blame you for everything? Are they going to get angry and then just storm off and refuse to deal with anything? So it's seeing how they are in this situation and knowing that you're comfortable or you can handle it when they are at their worst. Because we all have moments when we're at our worst. That's part of life. But are you able to handle this person when they are at their worst? Now, another big factor to take into consideration here, and it's probably the biggest point here, which is your kids. Your kids. If you're moving in with someone or you've got someone moving in with you, you need to make sure your kids are comfortable. Now, I'm not saying your kids need to determine or have full say over this scenario. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But I am saying your kids need to be comfortable. Your kids need to be comfortable and accepting of this new person, because you do not want a new person living with you, or you're moving in with a new person and your kids are going with you and they hate your kids and your kids hate them. It is just not going to work. Mind you, I can tell you right now, if I was dating someone that hated my daughter, there is no way I'd be continuing a relationship with them, because you want to be with a partner that's going to accept your kids. That's the idea of it. So if you're with someone that's hating your kids and not building a relationship with your kids, that's a big concern. So that's a big factor there that you need to take into consideration when you're looking at blending families. You want someone that's going to connect with your kids. You want someone that maybe when you're running late from work, they can step up and help out. They can do school runs. They're going to come in as like a mother figure or a father figure in your kids' role when you're living with them. And that is the idea. They're not taking over the role of mum or dad. They're not taking over the role of the other parent, but they will be stepping up as a parental figure when you're living together. That is the idea. So this person that you're wanting to blend families with, you need to know that you're trusting of them around your kids. You need to know that your kids are comfortable around them. And that is very important. And also, just on that note, when it comes to your kids, you need to make sure that they've adjusted to your breakup from their parent, the other parent that you've broken up with. Because sometimes it happens way too soon, and the kids are like, they're still adjusting to you not being with their mom or not being with their dad. And then all of a sudden you're looking at moving in with a new person. They're like, what's going on? I'm just adjusting to this whole breakup. I'm just adjusting to going between two homes. Now you want to move in with someone new. Give the kids time to adjust to what's happened, because even though it's your breakup, it's still a big deal for the kids. So be patient with them, talk to them, let them know, keep those age appropriate conversations going with the kids. And that is so important. You can't just say, kids, this is what we're doing. We're moving in here. This is what's happening. You need to talk to them. You need to let them know what's happening. You need to ask them how they're feeling. And again, if you ask them how they're feeling and they say they don't like it, it's not about saying, well, too bad, stiff shit, this is what's happening. It's about saying, okay, what is it that you don't like? What is it that we can do to make you feel better? It's about working with the kids to make them feel comfortable, not just saying, too bad, I'm happy in love, this is what's happening. Your kids need to be comfortable. Your kids should always be your number one priority. You do not put them on the back burner for some new person that's just come in your life who you don't know will be in your life forever. Your kids will be. And your kids always should be. So they should always take priority. And again, it's not about saying or letting them control the narrative here. It's about seeing that they feel okay. And if they don't, asking them why, talking them through it, working with them through it, seeing what they need to make them feel better. That is so important when it comes to bringing a new person in your home or you're moving into a new home with someone else. And the same applies for their kids. You want to know that you can get along with their kids. You want to know that you can step in with their kids. And it helps so much more when you can get along with their ex, the kids' other parent. Now, that's not always going to be the case. It's always going to be a little bit tricky there, because you're going to get some people that just don't want to know, don't want to get involved, and they're just going to forever hate you because you're just the new partner. But then you're going to get people that are accepting of it and happy that you guys are together and happy that you're involved and you're doing the right thing for their kids. And that is important. So when it comes to blending families, you don't want to get involved with your new partner's ex and start making things all messy there. You want the process to be smooth and as easy as possible. And if there is conflict coming from somewhere when you're moving in with a new partner, say for example the ex or their kids, it's not just going to disappear when you move in together. So my suggestion, if there's conflict coming from somewhere, see if you can work it out beforehand. See what's going on. How can you make that easier, or how can you eliminate some of that stress and some of that toxicity before you move in together? Because there's a good chance if there's all that drama there now, like I said, it's not just going to disappear and stop when you live together. And just think, is that something that you want to have to deal with when you're living with a new partner? Another big thing to take into consideration here is time. Now, it is very common for people just to meet someone, and as I mentioned a little bit earlier here, when you meet someone, relationship's going great, you're all loved up, you're all excited, you're both happy to be around each other, so you think, this is it, let's move in together. And you've just rushed the process, and then you moved in together, and then you're seeing this different side of this person, and then you're like, no, I don't like this, I'm out. Don't rush into this. Moving in with someone is a huge deal. It is a huge commitment. You're shifting up your whole life again. So when you are making this decision to move in with someone, don't rush it. You're on no time limit. And if you're feeling like your partner is rushing you, then ask yourself why. Why are they rushing you? Why are they pressuring you? You do not want to be with a partner that is pressuring you. And vice versa, you don't want to pressure a partner to have to rush to live with you. If your relationship is going well and it's healthy and it's nice, then there's no need to be pressured or rushed or pushed into anything. You both want to be wanting this. You both want to be at the same place, seeing a future in your relationship and being excited to want to do this. You don't want to move in with a partner because you're feeling pressured to or because you're feeling rushed to. And then when you do that and you're moving in with someone because you felt pressured or rushed into doing it, you're just going to move in and have resentment. And that resentment's going to build up and build up and build up. And do you know what's going to happen? You're eventually going to explode and you're not going to be happy and you're going to want to leave. Get that all sorted before you move in, and do not rush. And it's not uncommon to see single parents rush into these things for multiple reasons. One, they might see their ex with a new partner and they think, well, they've got a new partner, they're living with someone, so I should be doing it. Or because of the money situation, it's easier to live with someone. It's much cheaper to live with someone. Yes, it is. It is cheaper to live with someone, no doubt. I've been doing it on my own for 12 years, so I know how hard it is to do it on your own. But you don't need to rush into a relationship when you're not 100% certain just because of money reasons, because you could end up living with someone because you think it's cheaper. And then what happens if you fall apart, if the relationship falls apart, and then all the money issues you have to go through then, and then going through a breakup, and then sorting everything else out then, and then getting a new home and going through all these dramas. Is that stress of another breakup worth it? There is no need to rush anything. So enjoy your time that you're dating. Enjoy that start phase where you're both excited to see each other. Enjoy that moment. There is no need to rush it, because when you're dating, it's nice, it's fun, it's exciting. But as soon as you live together, it's a totally different vibe. Take your time. You don't have to rush that. Enjoy your dating phase and don't feel pressured to make any decisions. Just tell them where you're at. Say, eventually I do want to live together, but at the moment I'm not ready. At the moment I just want to make certain that this is the right decision. I've been through this before and I can't risk going through it again. And the right partner will be accepting of that response. The wrong partner will get angry. The wrong partner will get nasty. The wrong partner will be very manipulative and very gaslighting and say, well, you obviously don't want to be with me then, and start getting sarcastic and passive aggressive like that. You don't want that. If someone responds to you like that when it comes to the topic of living together, can you imagine what they're going to be like towards you when you do live together? So just think about that, because you do not want to add more drama into your life when you're living with someone. So just think, if you're seeing drama from them, you're seeing red flags from them before you live together, then just think, can you imagine how many more red flags are going to come out when you are living together? So just tread with caution. Make sure it is 100% the right decision that you're making, and don't rush it. Take your time with it. Another factor, just make sure you've got boundaries in place with your ex, with their ex. And depending, you might still be living in the family home and they've moved in with you, or they're living in the family home and you've moved in with them. You need to make sure there's boundaries. You don't want them just coming and going. You don't want them being nasty and them being quite controlling of the situation. And some people cut off the kids because there's a new partner involved. It just gets crazy. Some of the crazy things you see people do. So just make sure there's very clear boundaries in place. And again, as I always say, boundaries are not about being nasty and about being mean or cruel. Boundaries are about saying, actually, no, you know what? We are not going to tolerate that. That is not okay. It's about saying what is okay and what is not, what you're willing to accept. So make sure you've got those boundaries in place with your ex and with their ex as well. Another thing that is very important when you're looking at blending families is to really discuss and make it clear what your expectations are of them when it comes to your kids, and vice versa, of you when it comes to their kids. And it is very important to discuss this before living together, because it is not uncommon to live with someone, then all of a sudden you start thinking, well, they're not helping out with the kids. Well, they're not helping out with this. Well, I just need someone to back me up here. Why aren't they helping me? Why aren't they supporting me? Maybe they don't think they can. Maybe they just think it's your kids. I don't want to get involved, or I don't know what to say, or maybe they're just lazy and that's just who they are. There could be many reasons depending on that situation itself. But before you live with someone and they're coming into your world with your kids and you're coming into their world with their kids, you need to make sure that not only are you on the same page with your relationship, but you're on the same page when it comes to your kids. You may not want them to discipline your kids at all. You may be happy for them to be involved and do things and speak up and say, no, that's not on. Or kids, bedtime. You may be happy for that. But make it clear. If you don't want them to do certain things in regards to discipline or certain activities with your kids, just say, hey, I want you involved. I want you being with the kids as much as possible. But when it comes to this is all mine. This is something I want to focus on. Or you might be completely happy and say, yep, I want you to step up as the mother figure or the father figure. Be there and support the kids as much as you can. But I won't tolerate this or I won't tolerate that. So be clear with what your expectations are when it comes to the kids, when the kids and your new partner are all living in the same house with you and their kids. You need to know what the expectations are, because I see it when they're living together, the new partner and this person, you're living together, and all of a sudden it comes to kids' activities and you're running around doing everything, and then you're coming home doing dinner and doing everything else, and this person's just sitting on the lounge not doing anything, and you're like, well, couldn't you pick up the kids some activities, or couldn't you do this? But they don't help out because it's not their kids. They think it's your kids, you should be doing it. But it's very important, if you're living together, you're living with this person like a partner, like you. That's the idea. You don't just live with someone that you're dating to be roommates. You're living in a relationship and you need to lead by example, not just like, they're your kids, I'm not touching that, you sort it out. You're a couple, you work together, that's the idea. And you make that clear before you live together. And as I just mentioned, if there's things that you don't want them to get involved in, then you let them know before you live together. You let them know what you will and will not accept when it comes to the kids. And not just when it comes to discipline, it's also very important to be clear on finances. This is another big issue I see a lot when you live together and then all of a sudden, well, they're not helping out with bills, or well, they're not helping out with groceries, or they're not helping out with this, or we're both working full time, but I'm doing all the housework. I don't understand. Be clear on what your expectations are when it comes to discipline, when it comes to household chores, and when it comes to finances. Now, I'm not saying you need to sit down and do some petty little list. Okay, this is your job. This is my job. Saturday you do this, and then Sunday morning I'll do that. I wash the dishes this night. You cook this night. No, you make it work. You make it flow. But you want to also make it a little bit fair. So you have the discussion. You talk about what your expectations are. You say, listen, I work full time. Or quite often when you're dating with someone, you know if there's someone that does household chores. You know that if there's someone that will help out around the house. But it's important to also know that, because you don't all of a sudden want to live with someone and they're just expecting you to do it all. They might just all of a sudden be expecting you to pay for everything because you earn more money. They might just be expecting you to do all the cooking and cleaning. They might just be expecting you to do all the running around with the kids because you don't work as many hours, or you have a job that can fit that in better. Never presume things when it comes to anything like this, especially when it comes to kids and when it comes to money. Never presume. Have these discussions beforehand so you know what you're getting into, because you don't want to end up in the situation that I said at the start, where you've had to plan for worst case scenario and you end up where the relationship has gone to the shit and you have to start again from scratch and find somewhere to live again. So when you've sorted all these out, now it's not a guarantee that you're not going to break up, but you've got more chance of making the relationship work when you're on the same page, when you've had all these discussions, when you've communicated about everything. You've spoken about the kids, the finances, the expectations of the relationship, where you see it going, what you're both wanting. You may be someone that loves to holiday every year and they're not. They refuse to go on holidays. They like to save their money. Then all of a sudden you're living together. You're like, Okay, let's book a holiday. And they're like, nope, I don't go on holidays. We need to save our money. And then you've got the shits because you're like, no, this is something I do every year. Be clear about as much as you can before you start living together. So you're not just thrown into this world of unexpected scenarios that have just randomly popped up because you didn't talk about these things beforehand. So make sure you're both clear on what you're both wanting, what you're both are able to bring to the table pretty much. And most importantly also, this is a big thing that so many couples forget when they live together. And that is to keep the relationship alive. And you see it a lot in marriages, long-term relationships, that spark has gone. That love for the other person, that excitement for the other person, it has gone because the effort has gone. It just becomes work, sleep, eat, kids, repeat. And there's no love, there's no romance, there's no dating, there's no affection, there's no intimacy. And then all of a sudden you're like roommates, and then one of you gets to the point, it's like, I need some affection. I need some intimacy. I need this from somewhere. And that's sadly quite often where people end up cheating. Now, I'm not condoning that by no means. But when you're in a relationship where you're not getting that, it doesn't exist in your relationship, then quite often, if you're in a relationship with someone who doesn't speak up about things, that doesn't ask for things, then they may often go somewhere else and look for it. And as I said, not condoning it. But this is why it's so important, as I just said, to keep the relationship alive. And you don't want to fall into the trap of starting to live with this new partner and then it's just about work, bills, kids. Work, bills, kids. Keep your relationship alive. Try and keep it planned where with their kids, they go to their other parent the same weekend. Your kids go to their other parent's house. So you've got some time together. That is a very big thing. Make sure you keep date night going. Have some time together. Have your intimacy. Have your special moments. Have your little flirting moments or whatever else. Have your affection, your holding hands, your hugging, whatever. You need to keep that going. You do not just want to have it, be dating, be nice and be affectionate, all of a sudden live together and that's just all thrown out the window because you're both stressed about money and work and kids. When you're living together, you need to keep your relationship alive. You need to keep working on your relationship. They take work. And that's not something that a lot of people forget. So keep the dating going. Another thing that I see a lot that needs to be discussed before moving in together, and that is your alone time, you time. Because when you're a single parent, you get used to that. You get used to your alone time. You get used to just doing things on your own all the time. Now all of a sudden you're living with someone, you're like, I want my alone time. I want my time for me. I want to just go for a walk on my own, but I can't do that. I want to just go to the gym, but I feel like I can't do that. You don't want to get stuck into that trap of just losing your life completely or losing your friends completely. And that is another thing you need to bring to the table before living together. Have these discussions about, I want to keep my social life. I want to keep my morning walks, or I want to keep my gym routine going. I want to keep my bike rides going, or whatever sport or activity it is you do. Make sure they're aware of that. You don't want to just start living together and then your whole life that you've rebuilt as a single parent has just been thrown out the window. All your independence, everything that you've just rebuilt has now been thrown away because you're now living with someone. You didn't communicate what you wanted. You didn't communicate what you needed or what you enjoy doing. And all of a sudden your life is just about trying to make them happy and trying to make the kids happy. And now you're miserable. Be super clear about that. Now, I'm not saying when I said make sure you keep your social life alive, I'm not saying go out every weekend and party. I'm saying that it is very important to keep your social life alive, even if it's just a coffee catch up, a beer with your mates after work, a golf game every now and then, not something that you do all the time where as a result, you both have no alone time together. And it's a hard thing to navigate. You've got to have your family time. You've got to have your time with just you two. And then you want to have time on your own or time with your friends. It's a lot to work out. Plus, you got work in all that as well and everything else, your household chores and life. And that's why sometimes so often you see friendships dwindle away because life just gets busy. It does. It's not an excuse, I know, but especially when you're blending families and you're trying to work around everyone else, you've got to work around your work, you've got to work around this partner, you've got to work around your kids, and then you want your own time. It's a lot. But make that clear. If that is something that is important to you, then make it clear before you live together. Because there's nothing worse than moving in with someone and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, every Wednesday morning I like to go to the gym, or I like to go do Pilates, or I like to go for a run, or whatever else. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, you're just going to leave me. You're going to make me do it all. And they're going to start making you feel guilty for having a life. But even though that's something that you've always done. These things do happen. So be very clear about what your schedule looks like, what your expectations are going forward, that you're not wanting to change your schedule. Now, I'm not saying that you should never compromise or cooperate with each other when it comes to certain things, because you're going to have to at some point when you live together. There's probably going to be some things that you may have to give up, or there's going to have to be things that you're not going to like, or you're going to have to do that you don't normally do. That's going to happen, but you don't want it to be with everything. You don't want to have to compromise on everything that you enjoy doing. You want to have your fun time. You want to have your alone time. You want to have your friend time. You want to have your date time, your sexy time, and you want to have your kid time. Maybe it is important that if you do live with a new partner, that you do have some one-on-one time with your kids. Maybe that's important for you. And if that is, then mention it. Maybe that's not such a big deal for you. Maybe you're happy doing things as a whole family together. But whatever it is, whatever your preferences are, whatever you like to do, talk about it before living together. So there are a few things that you really need to take into consideration when you're looking at blending families. Make sure you're on the same page with your relationship. You know where you're both going. You know you both maybe see marriage down the track, or maybe you both have had the discussion saying you don't want marriage but you're happy just to live together. Make sure you both, whatever it is, that you've had that talk and you know you both want the same things. Don't feel like you have to rush into anything. You're not on a time limit. As I said, it is nice to move in with someone because it is so much cheaper. You're paying half of everything. But you don't want to skimp on that and just rush to have a cheaper living when it may not work. Take your time so you know for certain that this is what you want. Because you don't want to move in with someone where you think, this is nice, I like it, but I'm not sure. You don't want to move in with someone if there's still a few I'm not sures. You want to be, yep, this is what I want. I'm happy about this. I'm sure I'm making the right decision. And hey, it may not work out. But when you've gone through everything, you've really unpacked everything, you've really thought about everything, and in your head you're like, yep, I've made the right decision, then go for it. Go for it. Talk about everything. Talk about what your expectations are with the kids, with the finances, with your alone time, with your sexy time and your dating time. Be on the same page. And most importantly, you need to get along with their kids. They need to get along with your kids. You all need to get along. Your kids need to be comfortable. Their kids need to be comfortable, and they need to be a good role model for your kids, and you need to be a good role model for theirs. Now, some of you may have older kids, and they may not even be in the picture, or not in the picture, but they may not even be moving in with you guys. But either way, even if they are older, you still want to get along with them. You still want to be a part of their life, especially when it comes to things like Christmas and birthdays, and when the older kids start to have kids and your grandparents. So there's so much more to it. But the biggest thing I can say when you're wanting to blend families is communicate. And really that applies to everything. Communicate. And it is such a big thing that so many people struggle with these days. I'm scared to talk about this, or I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to bring it up. Oh, they're just going to get angry if I talk about it. You can talk about anything, but it's how you approach it. You don't want to approach it in an angle where you're just like going to come in guns blazing, getting the shit to them. You want to come in just not being confrontational, being calm, being friendly, use your emotional intelligence. Be emotionally switched on. Don't just get all angry and don't take things personally, because not everyone is going to have the same opinion as you. Not everyone is going to parent the same as you. Not everyone is going to do things the same as you. And the same when you start blending families, this new partner is not going to do things the same way as you. They're not going to parent the same way as you. Just like you may have issues with your ex who doesn't do that. Your new partner, good chance, probably won't either. So that's why it's important to make sure you're both on the same page and you know how they parent. You know what kind of person they are. You know how they behave when they get angry, and you're okay with that. You've seen them at their lowest of lows, and you can be supportive of them through that. They've seen you at your lowest of lows, and you know that there's someone that's going to support you through that, because that is very important. That is very important. When you're having a shit day, you want to know that they're going to be there for you. You don't want to move in with someone and you've had a shit day at work, you've come home, you just want to vent, you just want to let out everything that's happened, and they're just like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to deal with it. Go call someone else. Or I don't want to hear this. It's too much drama for me. And you're just like, what the fuck? I need someone to talk to. And you've just like, shut me out. You want someone that's going to be supportive of you. You want that shoulder to lean on when you've had a shit day. You want that person that's going to give you that advice and support when you need it. And that's what's important when you're living with a new partner. They're that person that you can rely on. And that's what we all want at the end of the day, isn't it? That person that we can rely on. That, what's that movie, Jerry Maguire? You had me at hello. We all want that, don't we? You had me at hello. Anyway, that good old 90s movie. How good was that movie? Anyway, so they're my tips for when it comes to blending families. And pretty much, as I just said, communicate, be on the same page, and don't rush anything. So if you've taken anything away from this podcast episode, take those 3 things away. So that's about it for me, guys. I really hope you got something from this. And if you are in that phase, you are looking at blending families and you're not too sure, then I hope this episode gave you a little bit of extra insight that maybe helped you, gave you that bit of information you needed to really make that right decision. Because you don't want to rush into it and be like, holy fuck, what have I done? I don't want to go down this path again and go through another breakup. So it's so important just to really know what you're getting yourself into. So I'm going to wrap it up. And if you do have any questions and if you do want a bit more support, I do have that one-on-one coaching session. But one thing, the other program that I do have that I don't talk about a lot is the Q&A sessions. So the Q&A sessions aren't really coaching sessions. It's more like, okay, I want to blend my family. I want to start moving in with my partner. I don't know. And you want to just have a session where you can just ask me questions and we can just unpack a few things. Coaching session is where we really talk about where you're at, what you want to do, how can we fix this going forward. It's really looking at how we can reframe things to make your situation better for you. Where the Q&A sessions that I have are great little sessions. They're a 45-minute session where you can just ask me some questions and we can just unpack different scenarios and come up with a resolution that's not based on people's hate and anger that you get on social media. That's not based on ChatGPT, because let's be honest, ChatGPT just gives answers to suit you. It's always favored to the person that's asking the question. That's a known fact. If you want a real answer that's going to give you real results from someone that's experienced in this area, then let's have a little Q&A session. That's what they're for, where we can jump on and talk about questions, unpack it, and give you the answers that you need to help you move forward. Where that coaching is really about digging deeper into a lot more things that you're going through or the challenges that you're going through. Let's make this work for you. So those are a few options there. They're all in my show notes. If you want to have any of those sessions, jump on. Come over and follow me on social media if you're not already. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm everywhere. Come over and say hello. Come join me over there. That's about it, guys. And as I said, I hope you got something valuable from this episode. And until next week, I'll be in your ears then. Thank you for joining us on the Life After Plus One podcast. If you loved what you heard today and looking for some further support, then jump onto our website, lifeafterplusone.com. Plus, don't forget to check out our Instagram page for further resources and inspo. You can find all the links in the show notes. And remember, you're not alone on this path. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next episode. And in the meantime, keep thriving, keep growing, and keep exploring your amazing life after plus one.